Welcome to the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast with your host, Julie C. Butler. If you're looking to build the business of your dreams, then this is the space you want to be in. Join Julie as she talks about ways that you can successfully scale your profitable dream business, one that will give you ultimate time freedom and the abundant lifestyle you deserve. Julie will take you by the hand, sharing with you her business savvy strategies as she chats it up with her favorite online entrepreneurs. You'll get a weekly dose of boosted confidence as you learn as they reveal their insight, tips, and tools that you need to start building a profitable dream business of your own, one that you'll love and that works for you on autopilot.
Hey there, welcome back to the BBB podcast. Today on the show, we have my beautiful friend, Mélissa. Mélissa creates a safe space for women to get comfortable and confident about their business, offers, and visuals. She's a big believer in doing business each our own unique way. So with that in mind, she helps them create a brand voice that fits them and not just the industry trends. Canva Verified Expert, Canva Creator, CEO of CEO of a graphic design agency and business coach. When working with Mélissa, you will build that brand recognition and confidence that both you and your business need. Hi, Mélissa. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on today. We just spent an hour talking and catching up and everything before we hit the record button. It's been a while since we actually connected and talked and all that stuff, right? So I'm so happy. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited.
Yeah.
Of course, always excited to chat with you.
And a little bit a backstory. Mélissa and I, we met. It was funny how we met. So it was a recommendation from someone in the UK to my friend in California. And then my friend in California was like, oh my God, I just hired this amazing graphic designer. And I'm like, oh, what's her name? This was like 3 years ago. I was like, because I'm like looking for one now. So she said, she's like, her name is Mélissa, graphic maven, and she lives close to you, I think. And I said, really? And so I looked up Mélissa, and she lives like, 25 minutes from my house. So it was so funny, like how small of a world it is. And then, of course, obviously, I hired her to do some graphic work for me, the stock membership. And then the rest is history. We became biz besties, right?
Oh, my God. We've been chatting every day for the last 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
Almost, anyways.
Almost. Yeah. I know. And it's so cool how you can develop friendships through the different business connections that you make, right?
It's just so important too, right, in business to have people in your corner, even if it's just to vent, even if it's just to ask a question, even if it's just to check in with someone. It's just nice to. I find that my friends that are in business, they get me so much in a whole different level than my, regular friends.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's not the same at all. And do you find like, sorry, I'm trying to figure out what I'm like very pink on my video. I'm like, maybe I can change the light settings on this. Do you find like sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to hang out with those people. We have nothing in common, and you just want to hang out with like your biz besties. If only we could like teleport to each other.
Oh, wouldn't that be amusing? Imagine if we could like all get to some place, all the people that we've met, and just like a big retreat, maybe in Costa Rica once you move.
I know, everybody teleport to Costa Rica.
Yay.
So I'm really excited to have you on the podcast today, and we're doing something a little bit different because we're going to talk about a little bit more about your story and about how you built a 6-figure business as a graphic designer. So now obviously you're a graphic designer, but this could go for any other type of business we're building, right? Because this is like things that you've kind of like, worked on and how you got to how you went from where you were, right? A single mom of 3 to having a 6-figure business as a graphic designer, but it could be a six-figure business doing whatever it is that you want, right?
Yes, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I just want to say something about the six-figure thing because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like when I first started, I was like six-figure. Oh my God, this is so far from where I am now. Like I always thought that six-figure was not achievable, and I always thought that six figures was a lot. But when you think about it, it's not even that much. It's six figures. It's only like I think it's like $8,000 or $9,000 a month. It's not even that much. I know
Mm-hmm.
when I first started, I was so far from making $8,000 a month that I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get there. But whoever is listening to this and is not making six figures, don't see this as a big thing. It is a big deal to get there because it's like, oh my God, I've like reached, the three digits on,
Mm-hmm.
on paper. But it's really not that far. It's really not that far. It's anybody can get there.
It's achievable and we can all do it, right?
Yes,
Yes.
totally.
Everybody, it's available for every single one of you listening. And if you're listening to this and you're already at six figures, it's the same for seven, right? Like it's the same for seven figures. Like, yes, I mean, probably going to do some shifting in your business for seven figures, which that's not what we're going to talk about today, but but there's going to be like different level of, shifting and
Hmm.
mindset and all that stuff. But it's the same. Like you need to do the same thing to get to seven figures as you did to get to six figures, right? So if you're at the six-figure mark right now and you're thinking, oh my God, seven seems so impossible, it really isn't. I mean, I myself have not gotten to seven figures, but I know just from listening and listening to people learning and doing like reading the books and listening to the the I guess mentors or whatever you want to call them, right? The people who inspire me to get to seven-figure business. If they got there, we can all get there.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So so I know, like, well, actually, before we get started, why don't you say, tell a little bit about you and, what you do before we get
Yeah,
started, and then we'll go into the beginnings of Melissa.
the
Well,
beginnings of
not the
Mélissa.
beginning, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. So, my name is Mélissa Lemay. I am the owner of Graphic Maven, which is a graphic design agency. Um, I don't know what to say. Basically, we help women who have an online business, and we help them look good by creating amazing visuals because it's so important to be
Mhm.
visible, right, in this online world. So this is what we help with. Um, I live in Kingston, Ontario. I'm originally from Ottawa, and this is where I met Julie. And I have three teenagers, and yeah.
That's
No
awesome.
pets that I can
You help
introduce.
people, you help people look good online. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And you're so amazing at it. Honestly, like whenever I'm like, Melissa, I need graphics, like you blow me away every time because your graphics are so good. So if you're listening to this and you're like interested in perhaps getting someone to do some graphic work for you, graphic design work for you, and you don't do just like Canva graphics or any like you do Canva graphics, but you do branding as well and all that stuff, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. Branding,
Yeah.
logos, that's something that I don't necessarily talk a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, we do branding starting from someone who is just starting out. So we have packages for like starter branding packages. We have packages for people that are ready to rebrand.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so you're like, let's like rewind and go back to like Melissa, how you got started. So how did you you woke up one day and you're like, that's enough. I'm not doing this full-time job anymore. I'm done. Or is that your story? How did it go?
And how did it go? Well, first of all, I had two businesses before Graphic Maven. So we rewind that far. So my
Okay.
very first business was I was a massage therapist and I had my own clinic in my home and I was extremely successful to the point where I had to refer out people because I was booked 7 days a week. And I overworked myself, which ended up with me hurting my left shoulder and my left wrist. So I couldn't practice as much anymore. I was making tons of money. I loved it. I shouldn't say loved. I loved it at first, but then it got repetitive. I knew that it was meant for something more than that. So anyways, I enjoyed it for the time that it was. And then I hurt myself, and then it was hard to keep up with that same pace. And then I moved into a different business, which was direct sales, where, you know, like Tupperware, when you sell things in your little catalog. So I was doing
like
that.
network marketing, MLM.
Yeah, I
Kinda?
guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing. And it was a newer business, and we were selling purses and jewelry. And I became a director. I was like the highest level that you could go in the company within 3 months. I was making crazy money. I enjoyed it. But the thing is, I was limited because I was working only weekends and nights. And that's the part where I didn't like it, because I was missing out on my kids. They were young, much younger at that time, but it worked because my husband at the time was working. He's in the military, so he was working like crazy hours. And then, you know, I was working at nights when he was at home. So it worked. We made it work, and it was fun for the time that it was. But then we separated. And then it got really difficult with like sharing custody, and then only being able to work on the weekends. I didn't have the kids. So that just kind of went away. And then I went back to work, and I was so miserable. And I tried different things, and I didn't like that. And that was for many, many years. And then I worked at a job for a long time where my bosses were very flexible. So if I had like a school event for my kids, they would say, okay, take the hour or whatever. Like I could take my lunch break when I wanted, take my vacation when I wanted. They were extremely flexible, and they understood families. That was really great. But then I moved into a different job, and that boss was not flexible at all. And it was like, holy shit, what's this? Like I was not used to it, because I had worked for like 5 or 6 years with bosses that were extremely flexible. And one day my son was doing a speech, and I think he was like 8 or 9, and was doing a speech in front of 200 people. And I wanted to be there for him. And I know that like that was very important. And I couldn't go. My boss didn't let me go. And I cried so much that day. And I was like, you know what, that's it. So the next day I gave my 2 weeks notice. And I was like, I am not meant to work a job where someone controls who I'm going to spend time with and who I'm going to be there with. And I was like, my kids are so important. Never again someone's going to tell me if I can be present for my kid or not. Like for my kids, I'm going to decide if I'm present or not.
Right.
So next day I gave him my 2 weeks notice, and I was like, you know what, I'm starting a business. And he tried to discourage me. He's like, who's going to hire you? Because I had done some research, and I was like, I'm going to be a virtual assistant, and I'm going to do virtual assistants online, and that's a thing. And he was like, no one's going to hire you. You're not going to make the kind of money that you're making now. And he really tried to keep me by doing that psychology thing, you know.
Oh my God.
And I was like, you know what, I'm going to show you that I can do this. And turns out within a month, I think I replaced my full-time income with just that one client that hired me. So I was happy, but then I didn't really like doing the general VA thing, like answering emails and like entering, like doing spreadsheets. I know you love that stuff, but that's not for me. And I was just like, I was miserable, but at least I was at home. And anyways, I discovered Canva because I was doing graphics for my website and doing stuff for Instagram and trying to build my virtual assistant business. And I fell in love with Canva. And then I met someone that was teaching how to build a business around Canva. And I joined her course, and we've connected. Funny enough, now I'm fast forwarding to now, but like she became a client. That coached me to start a business. She became a client of mine later on.
That's cool.
That's really cool. Like you said, right? The world is such a small world. So anyways, that's how I started Graphic Maven. So I was doing my virtual assistant business, and I was creating graphics, and I had random people that would message me and be like, oh, can you do this for me? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go in Canva and play with this. And I was creating stuff, and I would, just being a good human and sharing my excitement for Canva, whatever. And I was doing that for free. And I was like, what the heck? People are coming to me. I'm not even trying, and they're coming to me to ask for help with their graphics. I'm gonna start a little side hustle. So I opened a new Instagram account and I was like, I'm gonna start a little side hustle, and I'll charge a little bit of money for graphics that I'm making. So I started Graphic Maven. And then I don't know what happened, but the virtual assistant thing just
Went away.
it just died. It just died. It just like transitioned flow, like just in such a flow that was like natural.
Mhm.
Like it just went. I was just so excited about Graphic Maven that I was attracting all these people. Don't get me wrong, I was charging like little prices, but I loved what I was doing so much that it was just, I think my energy was attracting people at that point. And
Mhm.
then let's just make it clear that I did not go to school for graphic design. And I used to be ashamed of that, but now I'm just like, why? Like people love what I'm doing. They love my energy and they come to me because they want to work with me. They've seen the kind of work that I can do. So why would I be ashamed of that, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's basically how Graphic Maven was born.
I think a lot of us have imposter syndrome, right? Like we think that we can't become a coach of a certain thing because we didn't go to school for it, or we can't become this, or we can't become that because we're not fully certified. You know what? Like I was a sought after wedding photographer for years. I don't do weddings anymore, but I never went to school for photography. It's just when you got it, you got it. Like you got it or you don't, right? And people, like I've shot over 100 weddings. Not one single client asked me for that certificate or that diploma or whatever. They don't care. If you can show them what you can do for them, they don't need the certificate. They don't need right? So I think that a lot of us, we get into our heads way too much, and we get that imposter syndrome or the boogeyman talking, or that ex-boss that you had that said you're never going to get clients. Like if we let those voices discourage us from sharing what we are good at doing, we'll never make our business successful. So we really have to be conscious and get over those, the boogeyman or those monsters or those voices or whatever, because okay, yes, there are some things you need to be certified in, like obviously the usual stuff, but like for the majority, like we really don't. Like if you're good at something, just go out there and teach it or coach it or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in my industry, there's always like some things that are generalized, like we have a reputation, graphic designers, to be really bad at communication, and that's something that I really focus on. Communication is like probably one of my core values when it comes to life in general, not just business. So this is something that makes me stand out, right? People love that I can communicate properly. And then when we communicate via email or my response time and all that stuff, like it comes into play that, yeah, she's good at graphics, but also the service is amazing. When I work with her, I know just by the way that she's answering emails, that if there's an issue, she's going to have my back, so I feel like that's really important too. And that comes from the passion, I believe. I don't know if you're passionate about something.
And then also what you're doing feels in alignment, that is going to come through, right? So it's kind of like a package deal, right? Like passion, alignment, energy, it all works together. If you're forcing yourself to do something just because you want to make money, chances are pretty good it's not going to work, right? Like it's really funny because I was like didn't want to do weddings anymore. I'm like, but then you kind of like, oh, but it's good money or whatever, so I'll book a handful more, and what happened? Every single one of those weddings, I will never forget, 7 weddings or 6 or 7 weddings I had that year, or maybe 5, whatever. Every single one of them, something happened. And I was like, okay, universe, I hear you. Like, it wasn't like nothing major, but it was like, one wedding, they were like 1 hour late getting ready, and I was only supposed to be there for like 2 hours or 3 or something, like, so that was that thing. And then another wedding, it was like I was having issues with my feet, but they were good. My feet were good. But that specific day, my feet were on fire. I was like in excruciating pain. I was like, okay, universe, I hear you. And it was like silly things like that happened at every single wedding. And the last wedding I shot, which was last summer, and this was like a COVID leftover. It was like something I should have done 2 years before, but then COVID happened, and then the wedding happened 2 years later. I nearly fainted during doing family portraits. I'm like, it was so hot. I'm like, I am not meant to do this anymore. I'm done. That's it. The end. Right?
Yeah,
Like
remember.
the
I remember
universe
that wedding.
always, right? But the
I remember you
universe
told me.
tells you. And then if we keep saying yes to the things that we don't really truly want to do, stuff like that's going to happen. Like the universe is going to poke at you and be like, nah, or you're going to have a difficult client or whatever, right? So I think it's really important that you feel in alignment and your energy backs up what you want to do truly. And look at Mélissa, like her journey changed. Like you went from a few different things, and that's okay too. Like I want, if you're listening to this and if you're like doing, I don't know, let's just pick VA, for example. If you're listening to this and you're a VA, but you don't truly love it, like it's okay for you to change course, right? We've done it. You've changed course. I've changed course like a few times. And same with Mélissa, she changed courses too, right? And it's okay. That is the journey of our business journey. And I think that's what makes it exciting and fun, and discovering truly what we are good at doing and passionate about doing, right?
Totally. And the thing is too, like a business, sometimes people are like so stuck on doing whatever it is that they're doing, and they're afraid to make a tweak. What's going to happen? What are people going to think about me? But if you look, I don't know how old you guys are, like whoever's listening, but if you look at yourself now, like let's say that you're 40, if you look at yourself when you were 20, you were not the same person. Like you evolve, but so will your business. And there's going to be times, and I'm sure you can confirm that after 2 years in business, after 5 years in business, after 10 years in business, there's always going to be things that are like, I love doing this and now I want to tweak it. Like there's things that are changing. Like I used to do, like you could message me to get one graphic. That was the old graphic maven. You could message me to get one graphic. But I don't do that anymore. If you want to work with me, like I know now that I want to build a relationship with the people that I work with. So I work long term. I do offer smaller packages, but you can't just hire me for just one graphic. I just don't do that anymore. That changed.
Yeah.
My process has changed too. The way that I communicate with the clients, like when I'm sending the invoice and contract and all that stuff, like you learn as you go.
Yeah. And you get to decide how you want to run your business and what kind of clients you want. You truly get to decide that. And you shouldn't settle for anything less than truly what you want to do, and what also what you are worth it, right? Like you are worthy of doing and choosing exactly how you want to do your business. So that's also really important. So let's talk about a little bit of like what worked and what didn't work. Because I mean, me and you've been doing business for a long time now. So there's obviously things that we did that did not work. And things that, it's a journey, it's a process, right? We all go through it. It kind of goes like this before it starts going up, right? Or it goes up and then it comes back down. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure where to start.
I know, because there's so many things, right? I mean, first of all, let's talk about the whole mindset thing. Like you have to work on that, right? Like consistently or else, right?
And I was just it's funny you mentioned that, because I posted in my story yesterday. Like I journal almost every day. And yesterday this weekend I had a full experience where I had some realizations. I unplugged, and then I was really connected with nature, and there was like some things that came to me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to share that, but I didn't know how. So I actually journaled, and I shared my whole pages of my thoughts. And it all comes down to mindsets. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, even if you have a job, like a normal job, if you have kids and whatever, like a marriage, a relationship, whatever, it all comes down to mindset, no matter what it is that you do. Like, you can go sit on your couch and cry about whatever it is that's happening in your world right now. The only thing that's going to get you out of it, it's mindset. It's the way that you see the situation. You can decide to win or you can decide to lose. And I feel like somebody asked me that recently, like, how come you never talk about your failures? And I'm like, it's not because I don't talk about it. It's just I don't see them as failures. I see them as lessons. It's just that little tweak. For some people, like I can tell you everything that I did wrong in my life that brought me to some results that I did not enjoy, let's say. Like, everybody has those stories, right? But I can choose to learn from that, or I can choose to say that's a failure. So a tiny little mindset tweak like that, just like changing your perspective on things, can make a whole difference. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, I was working with a coach, and she was sharing a story about how she invested $20,000 in a program, and it ended up not being what she expected, and she hated it, and she didn't complete it. And she's like, I didn't finish the course. I spent $20,000, and I felt like kicking myself for wasting that $20,000. But she's like, I decided to switch my mindset and decided to see, what did I learn from this experience? Because she said, I learned something from that. Like, I learned one lesson, and it was that I don't want to run my business like this coach that I hired. And that lesson cost me $20,000, but that's an investment. I invested, and now I know that I'm never going to do that in my business, right? So,
and it's probably going to happen to all of us. I mean, all of us join a course or a program, even if it's $7, and it's like, that was not what I expected. Sometimes it's $2,000, and then in the case of this coach, 20, right? It happens to every single one of us. Like, when we join, like, I have to say, like, there hasn't been too many, but there is maybe one or two that I was like, oh, that totally wasn't what I expected, or, but I did absolutely 1000% learn from that. And there's always nuggets you take from the courses, even if the whole entire thing wasn't what you expected, right? So, but you're right, like, mindset, right? And, I was on Facebook the other day, and I was in a photography group, and there was a new photographer that was complaining about the lack of, she was doing model calls for new clients with a small fee. And she was complaining because some clients weren't showing up, or whatever there was complaining. Right. And then, they're kind of like more photographers that chimed into the conversation. And I said, number one is that if you go in business with a mindset like this, you're not going to succeed. You're going to keep getting the same results, right? But if you go in, I've never had those issues, right? Like, I've never had, like, even when I'm looking for, model call for, free or whatever, never ever do I have that problem of people not showing up, because it's not my mindset. What you think about, you bring about. And that is so true, right? And so it's all about how you approach life. It's all about how you approach business. It's all about how we think about things. And if we're, always complaining and always poo-pooing on our business and stuff like that, well, guess what? Those are the results we're going to get.
And I feel like there's a lot of people that don't really understand the mindset thing. A lot of people think that mindset equals happy all the time, which is not it. Like, how many times do you message me and I message you and I'm like, I need to get this out. Like, of course there's going to be frustrations. There's going to be times where, I just want to be in bed and I'm crying or whatever, because something is like going on, and I just, like, I need to get it out of my system. But the mindset, that's where it comes in. Like, I'm going to let that happen to me, like, feel my emotions and go through it, vent it, talk to someone, do something about it. And I move on. Like, it's not like a week later, a month later, and I'm like, My life sucks because this happened to me. That's the mindset. Am I happy 100% of the time? Well, no, but close, because the mindset is helping.
Of course. But also we work on the mindset all the time. We have to work on the mindset for the rest of our life, right? Like it's part, it should be, it's like eating. You don't stop eating, right? Like to survive, you need to eat. To survive, you need to drink water. To survive, you need to do mindset. It's part of your lifestyle. It should become part of your daily routine. It should be like you brush your teeth. You don't do life without brushing your teeth. Mindset is the same thing, right? Like if we want truly happiness and we want truly to achieve the things that we want to achieve in our life, whether that's $5,000 a month or that really beautiful 6-figure goal, right? We need to put in the work, right? And then of course, take action. Right?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I think also it's a bit like going to the gym, right? You go to the gym for a year. Yeah, of course you're gonna tone, you're gonna get muscles, but then if you stop, you're gonna lose those muscles, you're gonna start gaining weight or whatever. Well, it's the same thing with mindset, right? It's like you said, it's a thing that you need to constantly work on. And I remember when I first started mindset, like I would sit with my journal and I had my pen and it was like, I would look at the time and I would stare at the paper for 10, 15 minutes. I didn't know what to write. So it would be the same thing. If you asked me to go to the gym tomorrow, I would be looking around and like looking at the equipment, not knowing what to do, right? So you got to practice.
And I think too, it's important to figure out what works for you, right? Like what kind of mindset works for you, because it's different. It looks different for all of us. For some of you, it could be just going out for a walk. For some of you, it's journaling. Me, I don't journal. I tried, I can't do it. So I do differently. I like thinking about, I'm a huge visualizer. Like I can visualize really good. And so I like closing my eyes. I can even just think about it and visualize. I don't even need to close my eyes and I can see it. So just figuring out what that mindset work looks like for you and doing the work consistently, right? Like just make sure that we're doing the mindset work consistently. I think like this whole interview became a talk about mindset. But it's okay because it's needed. Okay. I'm like, so Mélissa, what worked and what didn't work? Well, doing the mindset work works.
Yeah, it totally works.
Exactly. And looking at different challenges that happen and looking at the lessons in those things, because that's what they are, right? Lessons.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like also, just to keep with the mindset thing, mindset, like the good mindset, if we can say that, comes easy for some people and it's not as easy for other people. Like sometimes like I come to you and I share something and you're like, well, come on, Mélissa, like seriously, like do you believe that? And I'm like, well, no, but like
or put your big girl panties on and move on.
Yeah, so you're really good at doing that. And my boyfriend was the same. Like sometimes like something happens and it's just like, well, it's the way it is. Like, am I gonna cry about it? No, like, it is what it is. Like there's nothing we can do about that. And we can either cry about it or we can just go on. So you choose.
And it's okay to have the feelings.
I'm moving on.
Right? It's okay to have the feelings, but then let it go. Let it go, right? Like we spend so much time thinking about the past. If we can't go back, you can't live in the past. We need to live in the present and looking forward to the future. Like, right? So that's important too. And yeah, I think like we could probably go on all day about this, but yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So I don't know, like if someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, like I'm not there yet, but I want a 6-figure business. What are like maybe a few tips that you would recommend, like doing that you've done in your business that helped you achieve that goal? A couple of things that you've kind of, you practice really, like that you do really well, that works for you. Because I find that sometimes, sometimes we hear something from someone and the way they do it and it just clicks for them. And it's like, I'm going to try that. Right. And, it works for them, or maybe not. Like you can just take nuggets from this conversation. Right. But what have you found that over the last year or two, you do consistently well, and that has helped propel your business to that 6-figure plus level?
Well, I don't think I need to mention mindset, so that's all settled.
Yeah, the mindset is settled. We know we do that.
Yeah. So then I would say finding ways to free up some time in your schedule. So whatever that means for you. Does that mean like hiring someone, having systems in your business? For me, I invested in setting up systems first. So just because there's a workflow to working with someone, as a graphic designer, like sending the contract, sending the invoice, sending the branding form where the client has to fill out a bunch of paperwork, right? There's just so much to the workflow, and that was taking me a lot of time, right? And so I tweaked that soon enough in my business. And once that was set up, I realized also that, my packages didn't make sense. Like onboarding someone for one graphic or onboarding someone for 50 graphics, it's the same onboarding process. So that was taking a lot of time. So I freed up some time in my business by working with people that are willing to invest a little bit more in graphic design. So seeing what works and like where your time goes and trying to find ways to free up some time in your schedule by setting up system or hiring. Now I have a VA that works with me. Thanks to you, a referral from Julie.
Hey, VA. Christian, if you're listening to this, you're awesome.
We love you.
Yeah.
He's really great. And I'm just happy to have someone that can do the little things. And often I'm like, going to do something and I'm like, no, he can take care of that.
Oh, so I did the same thing today. I was like, oh, this needs to get done. And I did it all the last time. And I'm like, wait a second, Christian, do you want this project?
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
So that I can free up some time for myself, but also time in here, right?
Exactly. And then just knowing that it's being taken care of. Like I have some projects that sometimes I don't even like, they're moving forward, but I'm not even in, like, I'm in the process, obviously, but like, I know that someone is doing whatever that part that needs to get done, and then I just take over, right? Now hire the right person. Also, sometimes that's difficult. I went through a lot of VAs to work with me, and having be clear on what you want and what you don't want when working with someone. For example, communication for me was really important. And I had a lot of VAs prior to Christian that were not communicating with me properly. So that was a little difficult. Yeah. So knowing, like, find what you need to free up some time in your schedule so you can focus on other things, or you can just, do life and enjoy whatever it is that you want to do. So that for me, that really helped me. Also networking and finding people. Networking, and that's what we were talking about before hopping on the interview and pressing record on this. Networking, not to sell to people, networking to create connections. And then just like, Julie became a client. Like she reached out to me because she wanted to work with me, but it went way beyond that, right?
Yeah, I can't even tell you, like, I'm best friends with someone that joined my program. I'm best friends now with a coach that I hired. I'm best friends with you that I hired to create graphics for my membership. I'm best friends with like a coach that I hired twice. Like, we create those. Now, it's not always someone that buys your program or is a coach for you, or you're a coach for them, right? Like, but I think that, I mean, this could be a whole training on how to create those relationships. And I think maybe we should do that, but, but quickly building relationships and making new biz besties, new online biz besties is crucial to your business. And sometimes we may not know exactly how to do it in the beginning, but I think that, guest podcasting or being part of summits and bundles and building relationships with the people who are part of the summits and the bundles, and just start conversation with people, not to sell to them, to genuinely see if you guys have chemistry so that you just become besties, or you perhaps can have JV partnerships or whatever, or maybe just a shoulder to lean on once in a while, like whatever, like you create so many different bonds in the business, and it matters because it helps make this journey, us having an online business, solopreneur, so much better.
Totally. And the thing also that if I can add is, make connections with people in your industry as well. Don't see them as enemies. They can be allies. Like, how many times did I go to other designers and be like, I have this project and I have no clue like what to charge, or I don't know how to handle this. Like, how would you do it? Like, just have each other's back. Like, I have people, like I have one person in mind that I've known her for 6 years. We've never met because she's in the Philippines. She's an incredible business owner, incredible mom, incredible Canva designer. And we're on the same journey. And, it came to a point where I know about her life, and it's not just business. And
Same.
I know that if I need something, I can reach out to her and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me out? And she'll jump in, and I'll do the same for her. And we're not enemies. Like, we're always like having each other's back. And even we have like a Canva community where, I don't know, there's maybe like 15 graphic designers, and we're all Canva creators. We're all Canva verified experts. We could say like, oh, you're competition to me, but we help each other and we train each other on stuff, and like
there's enough people on the planet for all of us, right? So competition, really, I don't believe in it.
No, me neither. And I have referred, like, someone came to me when not that long ago, they wanted me to be a part of the summit to share about Canva AI. I haven't experimented with it. Like, why would I go speak on something that I don't know and doesn't light me up? I referred to another graphic designer that I know, like, he's doing tons of video about that. Like, he's been doing research. That person would be best to serve. Like,
I love it.
I don't see that. Yeah,
I love it.
You got to create connections.
Well, this was a good conversation. And but back to graphic design, you have an awesome freebie. It's a lead magnet template. So tell us what that is and why everybody needs to download it.
Well, first of all, because it's amazing. I designed it. So
it is amazing. I have it and I use it, and it is amazing. You must download it. Go to the show notes, get the link now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's 10 pages of different pages that you can mix and match to create your next lead magnet. So it doesn't matter if you're creating a checklist, infographic, or you're creating like a mini ebook or something like that. You'll have all the pages that you need to get started. And of course, lead magnets are important to bring, new people into your world.
I love it.
Yeah.
It is really amazing. And, like, you can get into Melissa's world too, because not only that, but she has amazing graphics in Canva already. So you can also have a look at her graphics that are part of Canva. Some are for pro users, some are free, but they're also amazing. Like, I love your templates because they're clean and they're classic and they're so versatile and easy to use. So I love using your templates all the time. And obviously, you create some for me as well. You did all the ones for the summit, which were incredible, and all that good stuff. So tell us, Melissa, if someone is like, oh my God, I'm interested, I want someone to do graphic designs for me, where can they go? Where can they find you, and how can they work with you?
Okay, so I am on Instagram, so graphic.maven, or graphicmaven.ca if they want to see some of my work, before they reach out. So that would be the best two spots to find me. And then, of course, I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook group if you want to come hang out and see what I'm all about and what I teach. And so that's basically where you can find me. Honestly, if you have some questions and
Mhm.
you're not sure if you're ready to delegate and you're not sure if that's for you, just send me a DM and we'll chat.
Yeah. And definitely follow Mélissa on Instagram because she's always sharing all kinds of amazing information in her stories. And of course, you can see her awesome graphics. But you're always giving tips and tricks and everything. And you don't design graphics also. You sometimes you have like a membership and you have like, there's different ways of getting into your world as well. So make sure to follow her on IG. I'll put the link in show notes and you can check out what Mélissa is all about. Because honestly, like I became best friends with her 3 years ago for a reason. So, well,
I'm still in your world. I feel blessed.
Awesome. Well, this was so good. And I know we could talk all day about all kinds of different things, but I think we'll cut it now. The end.
Yeah, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for being on the BBB podcast.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Julie's included a link in the shows to make it nice and easy for you. And if you want to create a beautiful, profitable business of your own, make sure to go unlock your access to Julie's 6 must-have resources for female entrepreneurs. These resources will help you build and grow your business with simplicity and ease. You can find them at juliecbutler.com/freebie vault. We'll see you in the next episode.